Did you grow up watching Mean Girls, and how did it feel to be offered that role in such an iconic film?
Of course, I grew up watching Mean Girls. I was actually, I think, born the year it released, or either the year.
No way.
I didn't grow up feeling very like, I guess, pretty or popular, and so in a way, to be cast in a film like this and to be recognized unanimously and publicly as like someone who's part of that group is like living out a childhood dream that I had never experienced.
As an NRI kid growing up in the States, what did you think of Bollywood, and who are some of your most admired actors, and who do you want to be launched by if you ever do a Bollywood film?
I adore Bollywood, would love to be in Bollywood films. I think it was the easiest way for anybody Indian American to feel represented in cinema, right? Like, I think at the time when I was growing up, there was no significant South Asian representation on screen, and the easiest way you see your culture reflected is in Indian cinema itself. If I were to ever be launched by anybody, like Aditya Chopra probably. I guess I grew up on films like that. It's not to say that those are the kinds of films like I would want to do like my whole career, but like that has been like the pinnacle in my head.
How was your relationship with Tina Fey?
She is like one of the best comedy writers in Hollywood, and she's a really just like warm space and like is so grounding. Just felt like a mentor the entire time, and so I think I felt really centered, like having somebody I really admired be such a reliable person. And
Do you think Hollywood has now evolved to write better characters for people of color?
100%. Without a doubt, I think. And we see ourselves reflected in better characters, Indian Americans, Indian American women as well. Simone Ashley, Charitra Chandran, Maitreyi, even like Riz, Dev Patel. Like, these are all Indian American actors and actresses who are doing incredible things in Hollywood. And characters are being written to allow them to have such beautiful, expansive performances. And so I think that's really incredible. And hopefully we're continuing on the path to making that more and more the norm.
I want to talk about fashion here, whether it is Devi in Never Have I Ever, whether it is Seema in Sex and the City. Indian women are beginning to dress up beautifully in Hollywood films. What is your personal relationship with fashion like?
When I was younger, I really struggled with my relationship with fashion, and more often than not I dressed what my mom dressed like, and my mom was always in like flare yoga pants and like blouses, and so that was very much so my style, and like that's in now. It wasn't in then, and so it was very out of place amongst like my friends who are in like Gap and Old Navy. I think now, as I've been in the industry and I've seen women around me who are more reflective of like a diverse representation of beauty, I've been able to recognize beauty in myself far more. And so now I think I've started leaning into finding my sense of fashion and like leaning into like an eclectic style, and I feel more comfortable with stylists explaining like my vision and feeling sure of it. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, I think Mean Girls also afforded me a lot of opportunities in fashion that I didn't have. Like, I just did my first New York Fashion Week, which was so fun and so insane, and I felt very blessed to be able to have that opportunity. And so I'm excited to do more in the fashion space, especially as like an Indian woman. I think it's important that we see ourselves reflected in spaces that out and out are like about beauty and lifestyle.
Yeah, especially the diversity that you bring with your face and your skin color and the way your eyes are and all of that, right? Because it is unique to that part of the world. How did you get this role, and how did this whole thing happen for you?
I got an email in my inbox one day saying, we're casting for the new Mean Girls musical and we'd like to audition you for Karen. And I had heard about this through the grapevine like a few months ago, because my friend, who is a friend of someone at Paramount, said, Avantika, I think you're on this shortlist for people they're looking for Karen. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, like it's not gonna happen. And then 3 months later, I got like an email in my inbox. And I saw the audition and saw that they wanted me to sing. And I have pretty exclusively been like a shower singer for most of my life. And so I was like, this is going to flop. My audition's going to flop. I'm not getting this part. I did my audition. I thought it went horribly. I shut my computer, called it a day, forgot about it, and didn't hear back for 4 months, which is very atypical for someone who is going to book the role. Like, you typically will hear back in a month, you'll do a call back, direct a session. And I heard back in 4 months. I was filming another movie in Serbia, and I got a call from my agent being like, there's an email in your inbox again. And I checked the email and it was like, we'd like to offer you the part of Karen. Wow. So I had never spoken to the director or spoken to any of the team. It had just all been this like digital exchange, and none of it had felt real until the day I showed up to rehearsal and like got to meet everyone.
How did you go about putting an original spin to Karen?
I guess I would say like I found the new spin to Karen Shetty on paper when Tina wrote like new dialogue. I think that was really beneficial in kind of finding whatever new space she kind of lives in. The fact that this takes place in more so of a Gen Z modern world, and the fact that it's a musical, I think it makes the character a little campier and a little sillier and a little more over the top. With all of those factors, I think I kind of found a new spin.
And how did you make sure that you were not reducing it to a stereotype?
Well, I think innately the character itself breaks a stereotype of this model minority myth that all we are like nerds in school. And so I think innately when it breaks that kind of a stereotype.
Very few people know this, that you've worked with southern biggies like Mahesh Babu, Samantha, Kajal Agarwal. What was it like working with such big stars?
The fact that there were such massive stars didn't really, I guess, register. They just were like Mahesh Babu sir, Samantha ma'am, like that's just who they were in my head. And so I think in a way it kind of like primed me to treat these actors that I was about to work with like further down in my career as real people, and I guess not to over glamorize them to the point where they don't seem human anymore. But I also think they're all extremely hardworking, extremely grounded people, and Samantha is lovely to work with, so is Kajal, so is Mahesh Babu sir, and I think at a young age to see such great work ethic and such humility displayed amongst such big stars, like you would say, was really like set the tone for what I wanted to behave like on set down the line.
Wow. How often do you visit India? What's your relationship with this country like?
I visit India quite often. I would say a few times a year. I think when I was younger, my only experience with India was with Hyderabad, which is where my family is from. But as I grew older, I spent time in Chennai, Bombay, Ooty. Thanks to a show that I just did that's coming on Prime, I have like a new set of friends here too. So it like finally feels like I'm like putting down roots here, which always felt like a very far-fetched possibility when you live like halfway across the planet. I love it. Like there's really no place like India, especially when you live in America. It is the farthest thing away from like the vivid color and the like chaos of India. I live in New York, so I guess Bombay to me kind of feels a little similar, but you know, it's nowhere near the same. So I always cherish when I'm here.
How do you balance studies with acting?
I think it can definitely be overwhelming at some times, but I would say that like I go to school with a lot of really incredibly talented, accomplished people who are also managing and navigating a lot. And so I think watching them and seeing how they do it and knowing that they are going through similar things as me has been very, very comforting. And there's also like events that I just have to drop out and can't go to because I have an exam or I have homework that's more important. So I definitely think prioritizing and making sure that you have a good support system that one understands what you're going through and even better relates to it has been very key in like balancing both.
I don't want to stereotype, but I have to ask you, are you a grade A student? Like so many Indians.
In college, I've definitely been struggling a bit because it's been like chaotic and overwhelming, but I worked really, really hard to get into Columbia and I tried my best. Like I worked really hard in high school as well. I was valedictorian of my school and you know, I tried really hard and it was really important for me that I guess there's this like fear for me that like by choosing to be in the entertainment industry, people are going to think I'm stupid or that I'm incapable of being successful in an academic field. And so that fear and also like genuinely just loving the environment of school and loving the people I've been with in school environments, I think has been crucial in like maintaining good grades, I guess. Yeah.
And lastly, what's coming up next for you?
So I have this show coming out, Big Girls Don't Cry. It will probably be out by the time this interview comes out. It's a Bollywood show, it's on Prime Video. I guess it's a kiss to adolescence and sisterhood. I have a film coming out in the summer called Tarot. It's a horror film, it's a worldwide theatre release. So having 2 theatrical releases this year also feels a blessing, honestly, like the film industry is coming back. And so horror is my favorite genre, so I'm very excited for that.